Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today we are going to be talking about the art of foreshadowing, a technique used to great success in One Piece. In case you're unfamiliar with the concept, foreshadowing is a technique whereby you hint at a future event through a current action or object. It's not supposed to tip you off at the time, but when the event in question actually does occur, it very nicely ties the story together. And One Piece is absolutely full of this sort of stuff, so much so that making this list was actually kind of tough, but I think I have it down. So with that out of the way, let's begin. Welcome to the top 5 foreshadowed events in One Piece. Number 5. The Frankie drawing. So prior to arriving at Water 7, Luffy had an image in mind of his ideal shipwright. Sadly, he lacked the artistic ability to properly convey this to the rest of the crew, but hey, that did not stop him from trying whatsoever. But when we take a closer look at this work of, let's call it art, it's pretty undeniably Frankie. It captures his trademark blue color scheme, the crazy hair, his super wide forearms, the black eyes alluding to Frankie's shades, and it's not entirely clear, but it can be argued that the subject of this portrait is not wearing pants. Although it does need to be noted that when this originally appeared in the manga, it obviously wasn't colored blue. That was just a very reasonable decision made by the anime. However, the resemblance is so uncanny that had Frankie not been an antagonist of the series to begin with, I'm absolutely certain that Luffy would have asked him to join on the spot. Of course, that's not how it went, but hey, we received a nice little retrospective Easter egg from this comical piece of foreshadowing. Number 4. Mr. Prince. So it was only very recently really that Sanji's character was turned completely upside down and he was revealed to be literal royalty as Prince of the German nation. This was a pretty huge shock to me because I think it's a pretty bold move to take a character who we've known for almost 2 decades and all of a sudden add this huge amount of backstory and personal struggle, but hey, it worked for the most part. And as it turns out, it wasn't as sudden as I may have thought because the idea of Sanji being a prince was planted into the series incredibly early on in the grand scheme of things. Whilst in conflict with Baroque work, Sanji began referring to himself by the alias of Mr. Prince. And this is quite funny because when his father essentially released him into the world, pretty much the only thing he told Sanji was not to mention his heritage. But what does Sanji do? At the first sign of creative thinking, he refers to himself as exactly what he is. But hey, it was a really cool little tidbit to throw in that shows that Oda has these huge stories in his head and that we only ever get to see a fraction of the world he's built. Number 3. Usopp's lies. Here's a unique one because this isn't one particular instance. However, there is a very credible theory within the One Piece community that every lie Usopp has ever told will eventually become truth, thus technically putting them in the realm of foreshadowing. We've had some very simple and obvious lies come true, like Usopp's childhood classic that there are pirates coming to Syrup Village, which eventually happened with Captain Kuro and the Black Cap Pirates. Then there's the more absurd lies about fighting a huge goldfish, which happened, and then there was his lie about a country of dwarves, which well, also happened. Even his really obscure lies about a beautiful female swordsman with meat came true. So Usopp seems to be a bit of a Nostradamus in the world of One Piece, whether he knows it or not. Although there are certainly lies he's told that haven't come true, such as a medicine that cures all illness and becoming a brave warrior of the sea. But you know what, both of those sound suspiciously like goals of the Straw Hats and are almost certain to come true. Number 2. Sake cups. Alright, so during a short flashback about how Luffy and Ace became brothers, there was an absolutely diabolical detail thrown in, and that was the minuscule hint of a third sake cup. This is the sort of thing that a person like me would never have noticed in a million years. However, the much more observant members of the One Piece community picked up on this detail pretty much immediately. And then of course after the death of Ace, it was revealed that Luffy had another brother by the name of Sabo. Now if this detail had gone unnoticed, then this would have been absolutely mind-blowing to look back on in retrospect, but unfortunately it didn't. However, the idea of a third brother was pretty damn outrageous thinking at the time when this piece of foreshadowing emerged. So you know what? It was still able to do its job quite effectively. Number 1. Conqueror's Haki. I don't really see how it could have been anything else because the foreshadowing of the existence of Conqueror's Haki occurred in the very first chapter of the series. In retrospect, you could argue that it's not technically foreshadowing because Shanks just goes ahead and uses it right in front of our faces, against the Lord of the Coast. But that's precisely why this moment is so brilliant. We get shown exactly what Conqueror's Haki is, and then as a collective audience we all just completely forgot about it and moved on with the series, until we finally discovered it properly more than a decade later. And that makes it the perfect piece of foreshadowing, because we weren't looking for it, we weren't thinking about it, and then bam, it just hit us. And now looking back on it, chapter 1 is just mind-blowing these days. And I believe that the payoff from this planted seed is incredible and well deserving of the #1 spot on this list. And that pretty much does it for the top 5 foreshadowed events in One Piece. If you enjoyed this video, then feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe, and please comment with your own favorite foreshadowed events. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.